26 school children and their bus driver have vanished. Anguished parents, President Ford, hundreds of searching police are asking the question, where are the children?
The bus was empty, abandoned in a drainage ditch, covered under a dense thicket of bamboo and brush. The doors were open, the engine off. 26 children, ages 5 to 14, gone. And their bus driver, Ed Ray, he was gone too. It was July 15th, 1976, a Thursday, the hottest part of the summer in California's Central Valley, and what started as a routine trip home from a summer swimming outing would become the largest mass kidnapping in American history. Chowchilla, California. Population, roughly 2,500. A small farming town nestled between Highway 99 and the dry, brown hills of Madera County. There you'll see almond orchards, dairy farms, and not much else. The kind of place where everyone knows everyone, where a school bus route is a lifeline, not just transportation. Dairyland Elementary School sat at the edge of town. During the summer, it ran a summer school program. About 24 kids attended. Most were children of farm workers and dairy farmers. They took the same bus every day. Same route, same driver. Ed Ray was 55 years old. He'd been driving the school bus for Dairyland for years. He knew every kid by name. He knew which houses had dogs that would chase the bus. He knew exactly where to slow down on the gravel roads. The parents, they trusted him, and the kids liked him. He was a constant in their daily routine. On the afternoon of July 15th, the children loaded onto the bus for the last run of the day, tired and happy from a long afternoon of swimming. 26 kids, 19 girls, and 7 boys. Some sat in the back with friends. Some leaned against the windows, half asleep in the heat. A few passed notes. Others traded snacks. It was just another Thursday. Ed Ray checked his mirror, counted heads, and pulled out around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The route was simple. Head south on Avenue 26, then cut through the rural roads, dropping kids off at farmhouses along the way. The whole run took about 40 minutes. The bus made its first stops. A few kids got off. Then it continued down Avenue 26, past the almond orchards. That's when Ed Ray noticed something. A white van was parked on the side of the road ahead. As the bus approached, the van pulled out, blocking the lane. Ray slowed down. Then he saw 3 men. They were wearing nylon stockings over their faces. One was standing in the road. The others moved toward the bus. Ed Ray said in an interview recorded years later, "I seen this van parked along the side of the road, and then they flagged me down. I thought somebody needed help." Ray stopped the bus. He cracked the door. That's when the first man jumped on. He was armed with a shotgun. Then the other. They were carrying weapons. One pointed his gun directly at Ray. The others moved toward the back of the bus. The children froze. The men told Ray to drive. They gave him directions. Turn here. Go there. Don't stop. Don't say a word. Ray did what they said. After all, he had 26 children behind him. He wasn't going to risk it. The bus turned off Avenue 26 and pulled into a secluded drainage ditch known as the Berenda Slough, hidden deep inside a grove of tall bamboo. Waiting there were 2 more vehicles, delivery vans with their rear windows completely painted black, and their interiors lined with a makeshift soundproofing panel. The kidnappers ordered everyone off the bus, but they didn't want any evidence left behind. They forced Ed Ray and the children to jump directly from the bus steps straight into the back of the 2 vans, ensuring not a single footprint touched the dirt. They divided the children up, slammed the heavy door shut, and locked them in from the outside. Then, they threw camouflage netting and brush over the abandoned school bus, leaving it entirely hidden from sight. For the next 11 hours, this pitch-black, suffocating hot reality was all they knew. Not a spacious school bus, but 2 cramped metal boxes, driving aimlessly across California. The children had no food, no water, and no ventilation. The summer heat pressed in. Some kids fell asleep out of pure exhaustion, while the 5-year-olds cried out in the darkness, terrified of the windowless voids. Meanwhile, back in Chowchilla, parents were waiting. By 6 o'clock that evening, the first parents started to worry. The kids should have been home by 4:30, 5 at the latest. By 6:30, the phone call started, parent to parent. "Have you seen your kids? Is the bus late? Did you hear anything?" Nobody had heard anything. By 7 o'clock, someone had called the sheriff's department. Deputies drove to Dairyland Elementary. The school was empty. They drove the bus route. That's when they found it, hidden in the bamboo. The bus, abandoned, doors open, engine cold. No children, no driver.
The bus has been found. There are no signs of violence, and there are only horrified guesses as to what may have happened.
Within hours, the case exploded. The California Highway Patrol joined. Then the FBI. Then local volunteers. Hundreds of people combed the orchards, the fields, the ditches. Helicopters swept overhead. Search dogs worked the bus route mile by mile. Parents gathered at the Chowchilla fire station. Someone set up a phone bank. The media arrived. Camera crews from Fresno, from San Francisco, from Sacramento. By midnight, the story was national. 26 children, gone. No ransom note, no phone call, no demands, just silence. The fear was that the children were already dead. Divers searched the irrigation canals. They found nothing. Search teams widened the radius. Still nothing. Inside the fire station, parents sat in folding chairs, staring at the phones. The worst part, not knowing if they were alive. Back in the delivery vans, the 11-hour drive was coming to an end. The kidnappers drove into a massive, isolated rock quarry located in Livermore, California, over 100 miles away from Chowchilla. The quarry was completely empty at night, fenced, isolated, the perfect place to hide a crime. The vans stopped. One by one, the children and Ed Ray were led out into the darkness and directed toward a hole in the ground. Down in that hole was an old moving van trailer that the men had buried 3 feet underground months prior. It was stocked with a few mattresses, some jugs of water, a bit of bread, and a crude ventilation system made of plastic pipes. As each child climbed down the ladder, the kidnappers methodically wrote their names and ages on a hamburger wrapper. When Ed Ray climbed down last, the kidnappers pulled the ladder out. They slid a heavy sheet of metal over the entrance hatch and wedged two massive 100-pound industrial batteries on top of it to weigh it down, and shoveled dirt over the opening until it was completely buried. Then they drove away. It was pitch black inside the trailer. The children couldn't see each other. They could only hear each other breathing and crying. The air coming through the pipe was weak, hot, and stale. The ceiling was bowing under the weight of the dirt above them. Ed Ray took stock. He counted the children. 26. But desperately dehydrated and terrified. He knew he couldn't just sit and wait. Above ground, the kidnappers had a plan. They intended to demand a massive $5 million ransom from the state of California. But when they tried to call the Chowchilla Police Department to make their demands, they hit a wall. The phone lines to the tiny town were completely jammed with panicked parents and global media inquiries. Unable to get through to deliver the ransom note, the kidnappers decided to take a nap and try again later. That nap was their fatal mistake. Deep underground, conditions were worsening. The roof was starting to cave under the dirt, and the children were running out of air. Ed Ray and a brave 14-year-old boy named Michael Marshall knew no one was coming to save them. They had to save themselves. Ray and Marshall began piling the mattresses on top of each other, creating a makeshift tower to reach the roof of the trailer. Ray climbed to the top and began hammering away at the metal sheet blocking the hatch. Using a metal bar found inside the trailer as a lever, Ray and Marshall pushed with everything they had. The heavy sheet metal shifted slightly, but the two 100-pound industrial batteries held it down. Sweat pouring, skin tearing, they pushed again and again. Finally, Marshall managed to wedge a small piece of wood into the tiny gap they created. He reached through the opening, desperately digging away at the heavy debris and sliding the massive batteries out of the way. It took hours of brutal, exhausting labor. Their hands were raw and bleeding, but they kept digging through the dirt until a rush of fresh, cool night air hit their faces. They could see the stars. Ensuring the area was clear. Then, reaching back down into the earth, he and Marshall began pulling the children out, one by one, handing them up through the hole. The older kids carried the younger ones, 26 children, one at a time, out of the ground, into the night air. They had been trapped underground for 16 hours, and missing for nearly 30 hours in total. Covered in dirt and shivering from exhaustion, Ray gathered the children, kept them completely silent, and began walking down the quarry access road. After a mile, they reached a guard shack. The quarry security guard couldn't believe his eyes when 26 hollowed-eyed, dirt-covered children stumbled out of the dark. Police and ambulances swarmed the scene within minutes. The children were safe. The FBI moved in immediately. Because the rock quarry was owned by a wealthy, prominent local, investigators quickly executed a search warrant. There, they uncovered a treasure trove of evidence. including a draft of the $5 million ransom note. The paper trail led directly to 3 young men from highly affluent backgrounds. 24-year-old Frederick Newhall Woods IV, the quarry owner's son, along with his friends, 24-year-old James Schoenfeld and 22-year-old Richard Schoenfeld. They weren't hardened street criminals. They were wealthy, entitled young men, drowning in debt from their lavish lifestyles, who viewed a massive child abduction as a business venture. Within days, all 3 were captured and placed into custody. The children returned to a triumphant parade in Chowchilla, but the psychological scars were permanent. This historic event became a foundational case study for child psychiatrists like Dr. Lenore Terror, whose groundbreaking work with the Chowchilla victims led to the formal recognition of childhood PTSD in the medical community. The children suffered from severe claustrophobia, panic attacks, and night terrors for decades. All 3 kidnappers were convicted and sentenced to life in prison. Over the decades, their sentences were repeatedly challenged. Richard Schoenfeld was paroled in 2012. His brother James followed in 2015. The mastermind, Frederick Newhall Woods, remained behind bars the longest, running multi-million-dollar businesses from a prison phone. However, after 17 failed attempts, Woods was officially granted parole and released from prison in August of 2022. Today, all 3 kidnappers walk free. Ed Ray passed away in 2012 at the age of 91, forever remembered not just as a bus driver, but as a man who dug 26 children out of a living grave. 26 children went into the ground on July 15, 1976. 26 children came out, not because a ransom was paid, and not because the kidnappers had a change of heart, but because a 55-year-old bus driver and a 14-year-old boy looked up at a buried ceiling and refused to stay buried. If you made it this far, you know cases like this leave a permanent mark on history. Drop your thoughts below. And if you want more true crime stories told exactly like this, hit subscribe and stay with us.